Hello everybody, welcome. So basically, this is the way it seems to be. I'm Joe Yox, by the way, right? But the way of how this is gonna be a tarot card reading forever for whoever is interested in this whole entire reading. Basically, it's gonna be for June 4th to June 15th of 2025. Okay, so this is going to be a very funny reading. Obviously, it will be. It could make you laugh, it could be not, but it all depends on your point of view. Please put your comments below if you want, but it's the way it seems to be. So, there was a time and place that everything seemed to be fine and whatever, and everything seems to be okay. But when there was a time that there was a very interesting way about knowing what to do. There was a time for everything, right? There was a time where there was a way of knowing what to do, and you have to know about how you understand about how you're feeling, how you can be treated, and that's how it is. But the way how this is, the way how where this can be a huge experience is the way of how it is, right? So we're gonna figure out who did it, right, in this whole entire reading. Now, if you're wondering, who, as in like who, me, what, I didn't do anything. Now, that's just me being expressed as being funny, what have you. But I'm gonna use my funny humor, all right. Now, when you're acting, you're paying attention about your acting, the way how it is, right? This is the way how it seems to be, right? So when you are involved of how this is to be, this is how it is, right? You have to feel about how you're feeling. You have to get what you're told to do. You have to be responsible how you're feeling. There are ways that you need to understand that. The way how you can be positive, not the negative. Look at how you can understand that, right? That's the way it seems to be. And you have to understand about the way of how you're doing, but the way how this is. You have to be, comprehensive of what's going on, right? Like be responsible in how you're feeling, how you're, acting, what the way it is. But the way how this is, you're trying to be sincere, right? When you're being sincere, you're trying to get what you want, but it's based on that. It's based on how you're feeling, based on what's going on. That's how it is. But you have to understand that, right? So you have to understand that when this is a reading, it does make sense, right? And when it does, you have to pay attention to it. That's all it seems to be. But you pay attention, right? So whether you seem to be who's on the left side, who's in the middle, or who's on the right, you pay attention on what's going on, right? This is the way it seems to be, and you're trying to figure out what's going on, right? So you have to understand that the way how this is, the way how you can understand what's going on, you have to understand what the way how this is, right? That's why it seems to be. So when you pay attention, that's how it goes in that way. But let's see what's going on in this whole entire way. Okay, so here we go. So basically, we're going to figure out who's who. So we're going to figure out who's on left, who's on right, and we're going to figure out who's in the middle. Okay. So let's see who's on the left side. We have the Ace of Cups. It does represent Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. We don't know who did it. We don't know what's going on with all these possibilities. Okay. So we're going to figure out, this could be you, as the way of how it is. So you could be maybe Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, as whatever zodiac sign you are in. And who's on the right side? Let's see what's going on the right side. The Empress is upright. So there was a woman in this situation, okay? So you have to figure out but what's happening in this way. And you're thinking, okay, well, this is the way it seems to be. This is how it is. I need to get my own format. That's how it is, right? We're going to figure out who's basically doing this. Who's on the left side? Who's basically, what's going on, right? We have to figure out, right? And that's why it seems to be, right? And that's the way it seems to be. So you need to understand about when you have your own practical experiences, you pay attention to it. So let's see what's going on for the left side, shall we? So the Eight of Swords is upright, followed with the Two of Swords reversed, followed with the Five of Wands reversed, followed with the Moon is upright. So there is misrotations here. And when you're having anxiety, you're pouting, you're whining, you're having your own anxiety troubles, whatever it is. And you're trying to figure out, well, this is not going to end well. I was doing the right thing. Yes, you are. But the way how it is, like how would you express your feeling, right? That's how it seems to be. So that's going on with this moon card here. The Knight of Swords reversed, followed by the Ten of Swords reversed, followed by the World is upright. So there is basically completion. Everything's completed. Alright. So everything's completed because you're thinking that you're going to be crying, you're whimpering, because that's how it is. You're trying to figure out why I need to feel this, why I'm feeling like this. Because the way how this is, you're trying to accept. You're trying to figure out what's going on in this whole entire diagram. Because you, as in on the left side, you pay attention on how you're feeling. It's basically how you're going to understand to represent yourself. You know, you have your own priorities. You have to pay attention to what's going on. That's how it seems to be. What's happening on the left side with this World card here? The Two of Cups is upright, followed by the Ace of Wands is already at. Yeah, because there's new beginnings here, and there are relationships. So you're basically in a relationship. It could be a short term, long term, but you pay attention on what's going on, right? So the question is, why? That's the question. Figure it out, right? So you could be doing it in a Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. You can do it in a Leo, Aries, Sagittarius because you pay attention, right? You could be dealing with in a Gemini, Leo, Aquarius as well, right? So you pay attention to what's happening, right? So you're thinking, okay, so I know what's happening. I'm in relationships. I'm in the beginnings. Alright, I know what to do. That's how it is. You know, that's the way it goes. Now, who's on the right side here? So Queen of Swords reversed, followed by the Six of Pentacles reversed, followed by the Nine of Pentacles reversed. So basically, when I look at on the right side, it means that, you know, between you versus they, or it could be you versus them, it doesn't matter. But the way how this is, the Six of Pentacles reversed, there is no kindness here. Right? There's basically you're feeling uncomfortable, you know, that's the way it goes. It's like, why I'm feeling like this. Right? You're thinking like, okay, well, I know what to do, I got this, but then it's like how you can understand that. You have to pay attention to what's going on and how feelings of how it seems to be. It basically how it is, right? Because you have to understand about this is the way how it is when you have your own priorities, you know, from your own relationships, your own status, your own ways about knowing what to do. And when you do that, you know exactly what to do. You pay attention. You know, you do exactly what it is. Be responsible how you're feeling, how you're acting, how you can be negotiable. You know, that's the way it seems to be. But you pay attention. You pay attention on what's happening in that way. You need to figure it out for yourself. Okay? So what's in the middle between the Six of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles? The Lovers reversed, followed by the Four of Wands is upright, followed by the Sun card is upright. Yeah, because there's positivity, and maybe you're going to a wedding, you know? So if you're going to a wedding, you're in positivity, alright, that's the way it goes. But then it's like, okay, well, you are in relationships, you know, and that's how it is for new beginnings and everything's completed, but you're having anxiety because you're feeling like there was something wrong with that. You pay attention to that as well. Them, which means that if they are getting married, if they're having positivity, you stay positive as much as you can. You know, so it's like things have to be, you know, how it is in moderation. You know, moderation is the key. You know what to do, right? And when you do that, you pay attention on how you're feeling, right? That's what it seems to be, right? So you have to understand that the way how this is, the way how you can understand, you have to pay attention, right? So you're going to figure out still on you and them at the same time, right? So this is just the way of how it is. So let's say for you as on the left side. The Judgment reversed, so there's no action. The Strength card is upright. The Earth reversed. The Emperor reversed. The High Priestess reversed. The Sun card reversed. Yeah, because they're in negativity, right? So you are in negativity while them are in positivity, right? It's like you're being all negative because it's like you already got married, you already are in relationships or friendships, whatever it is, but then you have them who are in positivity or getting married, whatever it is, right? It's like, why I'm feeling like this. You know, that's why it seems to be that. It's like, why? Because you have to figure out. There's 5 W's. It's who, what, where, when, why. In that situation. You know, that's the way it goes. And you have to pay attention to it. So you have to pay attention whether you do exactly what you're told to do, be responsible on how you're feeling. That's what it seems to be. So let's see what's happening in the left side with this Sun card. Magician reverse, there's no skill. The Chariot reverse, there's no progress. The Moon is upright, there's rotations here. Yeah, it's the same way, right? Because they're not trying to figure out what's happening. Like, you're trying to do what you're told to do, but you're basically saying, well, I'm staying negative. I need to back off. I need to do exactly what I'm doing, because that's how it is. So let's see what's happening with this Moon card here. The Star reverse, there's no misrotations. The Tower is upright, there's transformation. And the Empress is upright, because there's nourishment here, right? So it's like, this is between the way how this is, the way you're trying to express of how you're feeling, because the Tower is like everything's changing, right? It's like, why I need to figure this out, why I'm having this problem, why? Because you have to figure it out on your own, you know? You're trying to be responsible on how you're feeling. Because there are ways that you must learn first in order to do that, right? That's the way it seems to be, right? That's how it is. So let's see on the right side for them. The Strength card is upright, follow the Emperor is upright, follow the Justice upright. Yeah, because they're telling the truth, right? The Strength card is like they have bravery, you know, they pay attention. The Emperor is upright, they have structure. That's how it is. But for you, when the Strength card is reversed on this side, it means that you basically are feeling afraid, right? You're afraid because them already has somebody. You're already in relationships, you're already in friendships, whatever it is. This could be between a long-term or short-term relationship beyond that point, right? If you're feeling like everything seems to be fine, then what's the point? What's the point to try to figure out who are you doing this? Because that's the way it seems to be, right? So let's see what's happening with this Empress card on the left side. The reinforcement reverse, you're having bad luck. The Hangman is upright, you have restrictions. Yeah, having bad luck and having restrictions. That's funny, right? It is. Because the way you have this is, you're thinking that, okay, well, I know what to do. I got this. It's like, yeah, but why are you feeling like this, you know? You have to understand that the way how this is, you're trying to accept on how you're feeling, you know? Because when you're thinking, okay, well, I know what to do, I got this, alright, that's the way it goes. It's like, okay, you're figuring out about this situations. When you do that, it's like, okay, well, I need to be who I am, I need to focus on this, I need to do exactly what I'm told to do, because that's how it is. You know, you have to pay attention on what's happening in that way, right? Everything seems to be fine. But then it's like, well, I don't know what's going on. We don't know who's in the middle here. We don't. But the way you have this says, so let's see who's in the middle of this situation here. So we're going to figure out. So, who's in the middle? The Devil is upright, yeah, because there's violence. There might be violence, there might be obsessions, there might be addictions, there might be lots of things. And it's like when you have that, it's like that's how it is. So you could be dealing with Capricorn as an earth sign. You pay attention to that. But the way how this is, now you understand, okay, now we understand this. Alright, well, this is the way it seems to be. So you have to figure out, but what's happening between them versus you, right? So that's how it is. If you have restrictions, why they don't have restrictions? You know? Why them are paying attention that they have, you know, being a trust, they have, you know, they're staying positive, they want bravery, they got this. But then for you, it's like, well, why I'm feeling like this? Because you have restrictions. You're having bad luck. Because things are not working your way, you know? That's how it seems to be. So let me see what's happening with this Devil situation. So, who's on the left? And then let's see who's on the right. So let me clarify. So Hermit's upright, there's okay, so okay. So you're looking for soulmate, and now once yours, there's not afraid. The Knight of Cups reversed, there's no romance. 2 Wands reversed, there's no planning. But the Ten of Swords upright, there's basically conclusions. Yeah, because you're having all these conclusions because you have restrictions. You're having bad luck. You're trying to figure out, well, this is not going to end well. It's not. Because you're figuring out what's happening in that dialogue. It's like, why? well, I need to accept this, you know? That's what it seems to be that. You're trying to figure out what's happening in that way because you need to understand that. You have to remember that you're not comparing yourself to others. If you do that, then that's fine. But why you're acting like that, right? So you could deal with another Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. You can deal with another Capricorn, another Earth sign. But you pay attention to what's happening in that way, right? That's how it is. So that's what you are. For them, let's see what's happening. So let me clarify. From the middle to the right side, please. 4 of Wands reversed, followed by the King of Pentacles is upright, followed by the World reversed, and the 5 of Swords is upright. Yeah, because they want to have conflict. They want to, be like having conflict, not getting along, whatever it is, right? It's like, but they are telling you that they are already married because they already got married, and you thought, oh well, they're not getting married. That's how it is, right? So it's like you're trying to figure out. It's like, okay, well, this seems to be. I need to pay attention. It's like that's how it is. But to go with the flow, you have to pay attention on how you're feeling. That's what it seems to be. That's why this is a very interesting reading, but it's a funny reading at the same time. Because you're trying to figure out what's happening in this way, right? You're trying to figure out, okay, well, it seems to be, alright, no problem for this. It's like, yeah. So let me try to figure out who's on the middle, who's on the left side, and who's on the right side. But we're going to clarify with my oracle cards here. So let's see. So we have the relationships, alright? We have surrender. So we have surrender, relationships, and we have denial. Yeah, because that's the way it goes. That's how they're feeling, right? Where you're feeling. You're feeling like you're in relationships, you're having surrender, and you have denial. Like it says, denial means I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with the insight of awareness. Yeah, because your awareness. You are in relationships. Surrender, it means I can release my need to control. Because you're trying to do that. You're not trying to be where you want to be, where you're trying to not acting to be controlling. Like you don't want to do that, right? And you're trying to understand that. Because that's the way how this is. You're trying to think about what's going on, right? Think before you act. Think about how you can do what you can. Because actions are bigger than words. You pay attention. Because the way how this is, the way I'm trying to express it, this is how it seems to be. You're trying to figure out how you can feel one way or another, and you do exactly how it is. Right? You have to feel the way how you're feeling, because that's the way it seems to be. You have to pay attention to it. Because when you do that, it's like, okay, well, I need to focus on this. Alright, I know what to do. Yes, but you be responsible on how you're feeling. What's happening on the right side, as in them? So you have friendships, as in them. You have balance, and you have happiness. So what it means is that when you have friendship, it says, I understand that a friend is in my life for a reason. That's how it is, right? The balance is that, and says, I bring a state of perfect harmony into my world, and I do so without judgment. That's the way it goes. And happiness, I'm aware that being happy means that I'm on the right path. That's the way it goes. So when you have friendship, when you're balanced, when you have happiness, you pay attention on how you're feeling, right? It means that when things are going to go in into a different perspective, you pay attention on that. You pay attention about what's happening in that way, and you're focused on that. You're focused on from the here and the now and the future. You pay attention. But the way how this is, this is just a funny reading because it makes sense, right? It's like why you're looking for a soulmate while they are, married, whatever it is, and you thought that they are unmarried, and being single. You know what I mean, right? But then you have basically bad luck and you have restrictions because you can't do anything. Well, you can move around, you can do whatever you want, but that's how it is, right? You're trying to be who you are. You're not trying to have peer pressure. You're trying to get what you want. You're trying to have sincere and self-respect and the way how it goes, right? That's the way it seems to be. But you have to pay attention on how you're feeling. That's what it seems to be. So you're trying to figure out how it is. So we're trying to figure out who's on the left side, who's on the right. We don't know who's in the middle, but it's just the way it goes. So who's on the left side? The Queen of the Light. Illumination, enlightenment, celebration. Yeah, so you could do it in their feminine as a woman. And this could be basically, the way how it goes. So it's like everything seems to be fine, but then it's like, how would you do that? How would you focus about that? How would you're feeling? How you're going to get what you want or need? But then you have to figure out what's going on. So you do exactly what you're told to do, but you be responsible on how you're feeling. That's the way it goes for you, right? So that's how it seems to be. What's on the right side? The Chess Queen. Trust and strategizing. The way how this is, between a woman's situation and another woman's situation, that's the way it goes. But then you have to understand that, like, this is the way it seems to be. And when you pay attention, it's like, okay, I know what to do, I got this. But then it's like, how would you figure it out, right? There's the ways about knowing what to do, and you have to face your own abilities from a run perspective. That's how it is. Because you pay attention on how you're feeling, because that's how it is, right? So them are using strategy. You are just like being there and saying, okay, well, I want to celebrate, I want to have my illumination, illustration, I want to basically, have my enlightenment, whatever it is, on your side. On them, they want trust and strategizing, because they are trying to figure out what's happening in this situation. We don't know who's in the middle here. We don't know. But the way how this is going to be, you have to figure out what's happening in this whole entire situation, right? That's how it is. So let me see what's happening in the middle. The Sun Dancers. Joyful activity, celebration of life, abundance. That's the way it goes, right? So it's like maybe you're focusing on money. Are you focusing about what's happening? Because that's how it is, right? It's like how you're feeling in one or another. But then it's like how I need to focus about this. You have to understand about how you're going to get, because about what's happening that way. It's like everything seems to be fine. That's the way it goes. That's happening in the middle of a situation here, right? So you have to understand that, right? That's why when things are into place or into play, you pay attention to it. So let's see who's in the middle, who's on the left, who's in the middle, and who's on the right. So let's see. So the left side, it is 3 of air. Great sadness, take time to heal, the need to forgive yourself or others. That's the way it goes. So it could be, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius as a feminine situation, but you know exactly how you're told to do, because you have to be responsible on how you're feeling. That's the way it seems to be. You have to conquer what's happening in this whole entire dialogue, whether you like it or not. But then you have to be sincere, because that's how it seems to be. It's like, okay, I know what to do, I got this. But then it's like how you can do that in one way or another. Okay, so we know there's an air sign we know that there's an air sign here. And that would be you. But we don't know, it could be Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Alright, that's how it is. Who's on the right side for them? The magician, Archana Raziel. You're ready? You have the resources or the ability to manifest them. Life is magical. Yeah. So you could be using your own abilities. Maybe you need to understand that you're focusing on what you're going to do, but then that's how it is. So basically you're having skill, right? Because you're trying to figure out what's happening one way, but then you have to pay attention to what's happening that way. Right? That's how it is. And you're thinking, okay, well, I need to do whatever it takes, because that's the way it seems to be. You need to know exactly what you're told to do, but then you have to figure out on how it is, right? And who's in the middle? The star. I change to feel happy times. Make positive, optimistic long-term plans on the right path. So maybe you're making long-term plans because it could be a long-term relationship or a short-term relationship, but it doesn't really matter. You pay attention on how you're feeling, how you're going to get the way about getting to the know-how or the itty-gritty or whatever it is, because you have to pay attention to it, right? So when things have to be in a way, you pay attention on how you're feeling. That's the way it seems to be, right? Because you have to know exactly what you're told to do, because you have to be responsible on how you're feeling, That's why it seems to be that. So we're going to figure out who's the magician in this situation for them. And that is the Ten of Water, is a contented and rewarding family life. Your emotional and material needs are met. Trustworthy relationships, yeah. So it could be, for the chess queen, it could be Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. That's why it seems to be that. So it's like in between an air sign versus a water sign, as in another zodiac sign, but you pay attention to what's happening in that diagram, right? It's like, for them, they're looking for relationships. For you, is looking for relationships. That's the way it goes, right? But you pay attention on how you're feeling, because that's how it is in that way, right? So that's how it seems to be in that way. Right? You're thinking, okay, well, I know what to do. I got this. Alright, so it's like, that's how it is. Right? You pay attention on how you're feeling, because it's based on that. It's based on that agenda from the run perspective. That's all you can do. But then you have to see it as long as it needs to in that way, right? This is the way how it is. So you're trying to be professional. So let me go from the middle to the right, middle to the left. So I'll do a little bit differently. So the Nine of Swords, sorry, there's drama. Ace of Pentacles reversed, there's no growth. Wheel of Fortune, sorry, there's gonna have good luck. Those reversed, there's no decisions. Temperance, right, there's healing. Yeah, because for them, they're having good luck. They want healing. They want whatever they want. But when they're feeling trauma here, because it's not going to make sense. Right? So it's like, how would they feel? For you, you're having this problem. Right? That's how it seems to be. You're trying to figure out what's happening between one woman and another woman. It could be that, right? But there are things you must learn first in order to do that, right? You pay attention on how you're feeling, because it's based on that. It's based on how you're going to be interacting, because you pay attention. That's how it seems to be. And when you do that, it's like, okay, I know what to do. I got this. All right. Because this is seems to be, right? This is the way how it goes. This is the way it happens. All right. I'm not going to act like this, but that's how it seems to be. What's up between the middle and the left side here? The Ten of Pentacles is upright. Vision. The Magician, sorry, there's skill. It is first, sorry, there's anxiety. The Tower is upright, there's transformation. Yeah, because everything's changing. That's what it seems to be. If you're focusing on your career, you're focusing on that, right? So it's like, for you as the woman, you pay attention on how you're feeling. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Okay. For the other woman, who is Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, as a water sign, you pay attention on how you're feeling. It's based on that, okay? That's why it seems to be that. And you pay attention to what's going on in this whole entire diagram, because it makes sense, right? If it makes sense, what's the point? What's the point about having this in this whole entire situation and say, alright, well, I know what to do, I got this, alright. That's how it seems to be that. That's why it seems to be about how it goes. What's in the middle of this situation? The King of Cups, alright, yeah, because there's empathy. Because there are two sides of the story here. One makes sense, one doesn't make sense, So if you're thinking that they are, as in them, you want to get married, you want to whatever, but they basically saying, no, we're not married. We already are married, but we are already not taken, or we are already taken, whatever it is, and that's not how confusing it is. But the way how this is, it's like, they you think that they are single, but they're not. They already had their own way about knowing what to do, right? So it's like, okay, alright, this is the way it seems to be, alright, this is the way it kind of is, right? So let's say about this empathy between, I'm going to clarify between the left side for you. Okay, so 2 1 0, there's no planning. Then comes sorry, there's a delusion. Alright. What's on the right side here? The five pentacles is upright. So it does represent basically insecurity. So for them, they're feeling insecurity, right? Because they're healing. They they know what to do. That's how it is. But then for you, you're having a delusion. It's like you're thinking like, okay, well, I know what to do. I got this. But then it's like, so what? That's the way it seems to be, right? So it's like, how would you do that? How would you reconsider about how it happens? Because the way how this is, right? You're trying to figure out about, okay, well, I know what to do. I got this. All right, no biggie, whatever it is. But then it's like, how would you feel? How you're trying to understand about what's going on in this whole entire situation, And this is a fun reading, by the way, because you are trying to figure out that they already are married, but they're not, So it's like, how would you figure it out, right? That's how it seems to be, right? It's the way how you're trying to figure out, but what's happening in that way, and this is how it seems to be, right? You're trying to figure out who's who in this situation. So it could be the Gemini woman as a situation, and could be maybe a Pisces woman as well, on who's on the left side, who's on the right side. So that it could be that. So Gemini could be on this side, on the left side, and Pisces as another woman is on the right side. So you pay attention on how it is. But this is the way it goes, right? So let me try to read you. And so I want to read you what's happening in this whole entire reading. This is the way it seems to be. So let's see what's happening. One more. Alright, so this is going to be a very interesting reading, as in this way. So, number 15 reverse is one ring circus. So this is basically how it is. And I'll read you the enchanted map. So here we go. Alright. It says, if you think that the sun won't rise without you, then it's time to change. Perhaps you believe no one will be there to help you, or you expect that you have to do all the work, emotional or otherwise. This is a fear-based idea, only serves to alienate you from others by taking away their right to participate. Receiving the One Ring Circus card may indicate the misuse of power. Give it up. Let go of the need to control. How the wind blows, and let others play their part. You don't need to be invincible, have all the answers, or to be the savior. Things will get done if you step out of your own way. Yet another meaning for this card suggests that someone else may be trying to control you. This needs to be addressed. Don't be afraid to set a boundary This is a wonderful step to interdependence. Consider the example of two trees planted side by side, sharing the sunlight equally, neither overshadowing the other. So, you pay attention on how you're feeling because it's based on that, right? So, it's like you need to understand about how you're feeling in one with another. So, you have to pay attention to it, okay? So, if the Gemini woman is trying to not to be like, controlling to a Pisces woman, then it's like, why are you feeling like this? Why you need to understand, right? This is the way it seems to be, and you have to understand about how it is. So you have to believe that when things to be in a different perspective, that's all you can do. But you need to understand that you're trying to not get basically controlling. You're not trying to do that. But it's like that's the way it seems to be. That's why it seems to be like how it is, and one or another, right? This is why it is a funny comedy reading. What I just did. But this is how it seems to be. So it's like this is the way it seems to be, and you have to pay attention on what's going on. So I hope you all like this video. Please get a like. Please get a comment, because this is the way it seems to be, and this is how it seems to be. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day to all, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye for now. Really, thanks, and bye.